So I had more people tell me to check out Dumaguete than any other place in the Philippines. So I came here with really high expectations. But honestly, I left scratching my head a little bit. I just don't quite see the draw. So I'm going to break down exactly what about the city left me wanting a little bit. I'll discuss what I did like about it. I'll tell you if it's worth your time or not to check it out. And if you're a single male over 50 looking to retire in the Philippines, there's something specific about Dumaguete that I'm going to tell you at the end that you're going to want to know. So make sure you stick around to the end. But what does the data actually say? Well, let's pull up the scorecard. Here is the 8 criteria. Now, I'll tell you up front, Dumaguete rated 24 out of 40 stars, and compared to Cebu City, which only rated 20 out of 40, it did pretty good. But compared to the second place I just reviewed, which is Panglao, which scored a 30 out of 40, not nearly as high. And I was surprised by Panglao scoring high, and I was surprised by Dumaguete scoring as it did. So let's start with the basics. Let's look at cost and lifestyle, which I've rated 3 out of 5 stars. Across the Philippines, every place is affordable by American standards. More provincial, rural places are going to be cheaper and therefore get more stars. More expensive places like BGC Manila, which is actually where I'm at right now, are going to be at the high end of the range and probably score a little bit worse. And Dumaguete comes in right in the middle with 3 stars because there's a big student population there, which means there's always sort of turnover with that population, which means there is affordable housing available. Now, Dumaguete does not have the usual high-rise condo offerings that places like Cebu or BGC do. So we are talking about houses or apartments, usually furnished or at least partially furnished, and they run the whole price range from $200 a month up to probably $1,000 a month. But in the $300-400 range, there's a high number of options, and they're all over on Facebook, so it's easy to quickly find places, go check them out, sign a lease, and get a place on lockdown really fast. So affordability overall, I think, is very good. That's why 3 out of 5 stars. And the lifestyle that you get for that, I think, is reasonable. Dumaguete is a small to mid-sized town, a generally more relaxed lifestyle than you'll get in either Cebu or BGC. So that's where I came up with the 3 to 5 stars, right in line with my expectations. Just solid rental options at all prices and good value for the money. The next one is healthcare, and 3 out of 5 stars here is my rating because Dumaguete has 3 hospitals that provide quality Western-style healthcare. Now, like other places in this review series, if you have something really traumatic or serious happen, like a major heart attack or a stroke, yes, it's true, you're going to want to get transported as quickly as possible to a major medical center, either in Cebu, which of course is the closest big city, or to Manila, to St. Luke's, which is considered the best hospital in the country. But for everything else, the health care in Dumaguete is perfectly adequate. There's Western-trained doctors that speak English. Most of the nurses speak very good English, and the range of options is there. So that's not really a concern. So I think 3 out of 5 stars is totally appropriate for Dumaguete. On the infrastructure front, I rated it 3 out of 5 stars because infrastructure is as you would expect for a town that was built up organically on the coast of the Philippines. There is a ring road that goes all the way around the island, which is a highway, for the most part 2 lanes on each side. So you can get around the island, but it's going to take a little while. There's very few traffic lights, and so traffic moves according to the Filipino custom, which is everyone nosing their way in and letting everyone else yield. There are brownouts in Dumaguete that can be extensive. The utility companies do try to publish the schedule, so if you're paying attention, you can know in advance when most of the lengthy brownouts are going to happen and plan accordingly. Of course, you can buy a generator if you can afford one to help supplement when there are brownouts, but there are unplanned brownouts as well. There's also intermittent internet problems. In my experience throughout the Philippines, the internet is never just steadily solid. It will work great for 5 or 10 minutes, then drop for a few seconds or even a couple of minutes, and then come roaring back to life, up and down, over and over again. And that was also my experience in Dumaguete. So if you live and die by the internet, the infrastructure may not be quite as strong as what you want it to be, but that's just the nature of the beast. But I'm going with 3 out of 5 stars because it is on par with what you would expect for a medium-sized town in the Philippines. No real surprises there. Okay, beach and nature. This is a really important criteria. I'm giving Dumaguete 4 out of 5 stars here. Everyone talks about how it's so great for getting out into nature, and they're absolutely right. It is very centrally located right on the coast of Negros Occidental, and you can very quickly get over to the beautiful island of Siquijor or Apo Island or up into the hills of Valencia, which is only 10 or 15 minutes away on a motorbike, right up the hill, which takes you up into cooler temperatures, more rainfall, some more clouds, but cooler temperatures, and that's very important. Darwin, as I mentioned, was a world-class diving site just a few minutes away. And with the ferry system that can take you over to Bohol or back to Cebu, there's just no shortage of recreation and nature options available to you. Now, right in the heart of Dumaguete itself, no, there's not really anything to go to other than the waterfront where you can enjoy the view. But the waterfront there is not a beach waterfront. It's rocky. It's like a port area, a waterfront, not a beach. So keep that in mind. Because of the variety of options, I'm going with a solid 4 out of 5 stars. And that's probably the strongest reason that you may want to check out Dumaguete is because it's just really well located for nature. And that means a great lifestyle. Now, traffic and convenience. Modern conveniences are really important to have, but if you're fighting traffic constantly to get to those, that offsets the benefit. Well, Dumaguete is somewhere right in the middle there. There are modern conveniences, there is good shopping, but there's no major mall, and some things are just not going to be available. For the vast majority of your shopping needs, groceries and household items and furniture and things like that, everything you need is right there in the heart of Dumaguete, just seconds or a couple minutes walk from your doorstep. Getting a loud thunder because a big typhoon-driven storm is coming through BGC right now. So since everything is really close in Dumaguete, you won't really have to deal with too much traffic to get to it. But overall, I think it's an appropriate level of traffic, an appropriate level of conveniences. I started out at 3 stars here, but I gave it a bit of a downgrade to just 2 stars on this because it is a smaller town and your options are limited. So although you can get what you need, there's not so much variety and so many stores carrying particular items that you have good choice. So I'm ended up at a 2 out of 5 stars on that one. Now let's talk about the overall vibe. This is a little bit subjective. This is my gut reaction to how a place feels. And I was expecting Dumaguete to rate really high, like a 4 out of 5 stars here, but I was surprised because nothing in particular stood out to me. So I'm dropping that one down to actually just 2 out of 5 stars. And I think that's going to come as a surprise to most of you because so many YouTubers talk about how Dumaguete just has a wonderful expat vibe and it's coastal and you've got that lovely waterfront you can check out. And while that's not wrong, for me, nothing about it really is calling to me. The waterfront is pleasant, but it's not amazing. The nature is available, but not super close. The people are absolutely friendly. Like everybody says hello and smiles at you, and expats seem very welcome. So it's strong in that regard. But most of the Philippines is like that. So Dumaguete didn't really seem to be a standout in that regard. It didn't have like a laid back beachy vibe like you might get on Panglao or at Alona Beach, which is a very appealing thing to me. Nor does it have the big city vibe. It is a small to medium sized city on the waterfront that will allow most people to live comfortably and have a decent lifestyle, but there's nothing particularly unique or therefore special about it. It's just Dumaguete. So I only gave it 2 out of 5 stars on that one. If you disagree, you're probably blowing up the comments section already, and that's fine, because if I got it wrong, I want to know. But this was my initial impression. The next one is walkability and outdoor recreation, and it does pretty well here. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars in this category as well, primarily because of that boardwalk waterfront area does provide a flat, smooth, open, lengthy area for people to go outside and jog. Now, it's really hot in Dumaguete, so you're not going to want to do that in the middle of the day, but in the morning and after sunset, it's very comfortable outside, and there's a huge open area that is safe for people to run. Families and kids are out doing their thing. People are enjoying the view and the waterfront. So that is an exercise amenity that a lot of places in the Philippines do not offer. So Dumaguete definitely has a leg up in that regard. But the reason I didn't give it 5 out of 5 stars is because that's really the only area to do that. The rest of the town is typical old school sort of Filipino, organically built up type of buildings and roads, which means trikes and motorbikes and cars everywhere. Sidewalks are blocked, food carts, things like that. So it's just difficult to walk around the city. It's one of those places you really have to pay attention to where you step because the pavement is at unequal heights and a lot of it's broken up and there's puddles and on and on. So there's that consideration, which is why it's only getting a 4 out of 5 stars. So let's talk about overall value. What kind of lifestyle do you get for the money? The rental rates and housing costs are only a portion of that. I'm going with the 3 out of 5 stars. I think you get a good life in Dumaguete, and costs compared to other places in the Philippines, bigger towns with more amenities, is going to be very reasonable. However, because of the safety rating that Dumaguete got, which is the safest city in the Philippines, if you hadn't heard that recent news, and because of the student population that's always coming in, there is some competition for housing, and just the influx of expats are driving up prices over the last 5 to 7 years. And that's a trend that's probably not going to reverse anytime soon. So that's something to be aware of. So while housing is reasonable, and if you have a $1,500 or $1,600 a month budget, you can live pretty well. You're not going to live like a king. You probably need closer to $2,000 a month to really feel like you're living large in Dumaguete. So if I were making this video 7 years ago, it would be a different story, but that window has closed a little bit. Costs are up across the board, but still, for the Philippines, I think it's a solid value. So 3 out of 5 stars. So that brings us to the grand total, which is 24 out of 40 stars, beating Cebu by 4 points, but losing to Panglao and Bohol by 6 points. So does that surprise you? Well, perhaps, because once again, people just talk highly of Dumaguete about how awesome it is for expats, how safe it is, how chill it is. And they're not wrong, but it didn't strike me as being particularly strong in any of those areas. It struck me as being okay in those areas. Yes, the waterfront is nice, but it's not huge and it's not quite as vibrant as I was expecting it to be. There is a good expat community, but it's not in your face, meaning I didn't see expats everywhere. But if you want to make friends and hang out with people who are like you, yes, you can do that. And there's also, it's great for having Filipino friends and mixing with the locals and blending with the locals. But there was nothing about it that really struck me as amazing. I suppose if I were a scuba diver and I had Darwin available to me, I might think much more highly of it. But as a guy who is primarily land-based, who just likes beach time, who likes running outside, and who doesn't love noise, congestion, traffic, and who wants high walkability, Dumaguete just didn't do it for me. Now, I'm going to go back. I'm going to spend more time there. And if you were to ask me, Ryan, could you live there? My answer is, oh, absolutely. I definitely could, and I could be happy there. But is there anything compelling about it that's sort of pulling me in and making me want to move there? No, not at all. So that's why I'm only going with the 24 out of 40 stars. However, despite that score, I do think you should check it out because your criteria might be a little bit different and you might feel differently than me. So what I'm saying is just my feeling, but I do think every expat should check out Dumaguete. It is a nice enough place and relaxed enough with enough amenities and features and shopping and quality of life to rate a visit. Now, if you're a single man though, I said at the start of this video, there's something you need to be aware of. That is the fact that because of Dumaguete's size, being a smaller town, there is a gossip network. If you're an upstanding guy and you are honest with the women that you're dating or dealing with, you'll have no problem whatsoever. But if you are making promises that you can't keep, or if you're a love them and leave them kind of guy, there are Facebook groups that talk about expat behavior and the word will get out. So I would say Dumaguete is great if you're honestly seeking a relationship or to date with full honesty, no problem. But if you're doing anything that's not quite that, be aware it might come back to haunt you. So behave accordingly. All right, so that's my Dumaguete rating, 24 out of 40. I want to hear from you now in the comments, please. If you got value from the video, please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. But I want to know what places you think maybe I missed. I did go all the way from Darwin to Valencia through Dumaguete and to the other side on a motorbike. I spent 5 days there And so I think I got a pretty good overview, but if you think I'm underrating it, tell me why in the comments, because that will really help out the next person that comes along who's considering moving to Dumaguete. Give them your opinion down below in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. And quick note, I took Lipa off of my list of the 8 cities that I'll be covering, and I added Bacolod because I was pleasantly surprised by my short time in Bacolod. So that's one change I've made, and that video is coming out very soon. I was also very pleasantly surprised by Iloilo, so I'm working on the rating video for that. So make sure you're watching this series because I'm going to all the major hotspots in the Philippines for single men looking to retire overseas. This series is exactly what you need. So I'll see you in the next video. So long.